To tread without care is to court disaster. Once again, the wolves stood in Clan Ghost Bear's way, introducing the so-called Dragoon Compromise to gather more information about the Inner Sphere. As it turned out, this move delayed the invasion by 50 years, ensuring that Khan Winston would not take part in what she had worked so hard to advance. Now, we've talked on this channel before concerning opportunity cost. It applies in the real world as much as in BattleTech, and no battle mech can escape its clutches. You have a certain amount of tonnage you can spend on one thing or another, and there's always a trade-off. There's always a cost. Do you invest in additional armor or more weaponry? Is that targeting computer worth it over another additional medium pulse laser? Do you risk exposure by adding the XL engine instead of sticking with the standard? Are those jump jets really worth dropping that LRM-20 down to a 15? It all boils down to risks tolerance, your personal preferences, and the goals for the battle mech. I bring this up again because today's battle mech, the Grizzly, has suffered in popularity not due to any serious defect or failure in its design. Instead, it suffered because it was created within an environment that did not appreciate a generalist design that didn't hyper-focus on any of the traditional areas. Constructed to be useful in a wide variety of situations and battlefield conditions, the Grizzly was never going to be the superstar that dishes out massive amounts of damage. However, it would end up being a consistent quality producer. This was proved out by the mech's persistent presence in the Ghost Bear Tumen long after its official end of its first production runs. First produced in 2947, the 70-ton Grizzly was never intended to be a frontline battle mech for Clan Ghost Bear. Existing Omni-mechs like the Hellbringer, Mad Dog, and Timberwolf were dominating across the clans in the heavy category, and there really wasn't oxygen in the room to breathe. Instead, the design was intended to fill multiple roles within the second-line units and garrison positions. It was both unrealistic and impractical to place multiple specialized battle mechs into a situation that might only call upon them intermittently, if at all. Constructed from a core structure of Type 56-45C modified endosteel, the Grizzly saved on weight without sacrificing strength. The 280 RFUM fusion engine was inexpensive and allowed for construction costs to stay lower than a premium battle mech design. XL engines don't grow on trees, folks. With a maximum speed of 64 km per hour, we've run across one of the Grizzly's significant downsides. Among peers that can travel up to 86 km per hour, the Grizzly had trouble keeping up. This significantly impacted the mech's performance to the point that it was only rarely spotted in frontline units. Thankfully, the clan standard 14X series jump jets do improve mobility by allowing the Grizzly to leap up to 120 meters. This was incredibly useful as the Grizzly was often stationed in urban areas where leaping over structures and odd terrain is essential. The 11 double heat sinks are adequate for its possible 21 heat Alpha Strike, and the 13 tons of Arcadia Compound Delta 7 standard armor makes the mech a tough nut to crack and is one of the mech's strongest selling points, especially when compared to the paltry armor coverage of the Hellbringer. Remember our discussion of opportunity cost earlier? The Garrett T-10B Comlink system was a solid choice, and the Series 6 kit targeting and tracking system easily handles whatever is thrown at it. Originally manufactured by Clan Ghost Bear on Arcadia, production only ran until 3013, at which point the line was repurposed. While the Omega 12 coil Gauss rifle in the right arm is the belle of the ball for the Grizzly's armament, don't discount how it really works well in conjunction with the Colibri Delta Series large and medium pulse lasers. The LPL is just 2 hexes shy of matching the range of the Gauss rifle, and with its accuracy, it's going to be doing a consistent amount of damage, especially in the longer fight or campaign when those 2 tons of Gauss rifle run out. The Clan medium pulse lasers, always a quality producer at the mid and short range, and in the left torso, a Type X shortbow LRM-10 launcher offers decent coverage at all ranges, as well as the possibility of providing modest indirect fire support. Finally, for close-range negotiations, a Chi series small pulse laser joins the other 2 lasers in the left arm. Overall, the loadout is a bit of a kitchen sink scenario. The generalist mechs sometimes end up with these in an attempt to cover as many bases as possible. However, we're still looking at up to a possible 35 damage at 20 hexes, which isn't terrible. At short range, the heat neutral Alpha Strike is going to push the possible damage to 45, which is pretty respectable. It's not going to melt faces like the Mad Dog or Hellbringer, but it will likely outlive both of them in a prolonged fight. It's a solid generalist build that is functional in a wide variety of situations. When the first runs of the Grizzly were distributed to units across second-line forces of the Ghost Bear Tumen, feedback was mixed. Some praised its flexibility and durability, while technicians complained that the armor placement led to issues with damaged panels being jammed into actuators and other sensitive components. Unfortunately for the Grizzly, its generalist utilitarian design was not appreciated by clan Ghost Bear warriors, and it had trouble seeing adoption outside of those green provisional garrison clusters. Even though it wasn't being produced after 3013, the Grizzly persisted and was consistently seen among garrison forces. That's really a testament to its ability to soak up damage and still survive. Occasionally, other clans would take the Mech as salvage or as Sorla, which explains why it would sometimes be found among other Tumens. For example, the record of at least one Grizzly among the 267th battle cluster of the Smoke Jaguars. One battle report from a clash between the Bears and the Hell's Horses on Goito in 3063 highlighted the Grizzly's balanced weapons loadout. While other mechs suffered in an environment of intense heat and lava pouring from canyon walls, a Mechwarrior named Taj disabled 8 out of a total of 10 of the Hell's Horses targets at range using the Gauss rifle and large pulse laser, while also avoiding return fire by dashing behind outcroppings and canyon walls. When he attempted a death from above attack against a Hell's Horses minion hover tank, it nearly killed the Mechwarrior in the resulting tumble. Still, it was a stellar example of how a generalist mech can shine in a wide variety of situations. Though it was out of production, the Grizzly's story wasn't over. A refit of the mech was designed and implemented before the Combine War in 3063, and it was so successful that the mech benefited from renewed interest. Designated the Grizzly II, the refit kept the Gauss rifle but swapped out the rest of the loadout with an ER large laser in the left arm, an advanced tactical missile system 9 in the left torso, and 6 ER micro lasers for close-range snuggling. The 2 tons of ammunition for the ATM-9 system allowed some flexibility in the mech's ability to send fire downfield, and the ER large laser provided a longer range punch than the old large pulse laser could provide. The mech remained heat neutral and kept its good armor protection and jump jet maneuverability. Personally, I think this is much more of a side grade than an upgrade, as it trades accuracy for range while not significantly changing the mission statement. It's still a solid build and would mesh well in a star of heavier mechs that match its speed, and it could play the role of fire support. In the waning years of the Dark Age and the dawn of the Ilclan era, the Grizzly has returned to production thanks to Jotun Battleworks, who saw value in upgrading the tried and true design. In 3138, the first of the new generation of Grizzlies would march off the production line at Goito. After years of testing and experimentation, the Grizzly III was introduced, which reflected significant changes and implementation of new technologies. While the speed of the mech was not increased, the installation of a 280XL engine did buy additional space for weaponry and reinforced internal structure. For those who aren't in the know, reinforced structure functions in a similar way to hardened armor, where each point of internal structure requires 2 points of damage to destroy. Additionally, any roll to determine a critical hit on a unit with reinforced structure carries a -1 modifier to the roll's result. It weighs twice as much as a standard internal structure, but does not take up any critical locations on the battle mech. Now, the most controversial change with the Grizzly III has to be the swap of the Gauss rifle to a plasma rifle with 2 tons of ammunition. This cuts that punch from 15 down to 10 plus some heat generation, but more importantly, the range is drastically cut down to a max of 15 hexes. Thankfully, it does retain some of its long-range wallop by keeping the ER large laser in the left arm, as well as an LRM-10 with an Artemis 5 upgrade in the left torso. Finally, in the mid and short ranges, an ER medium laser and an ER small laser round out the weapons. All of these are aided by a targeting computer. Though it is technically a mixed chassis, only the plasma rifle and reinforced internal structure are Intersphere technology. There was a clear intent with the Grizzly III to shift the generalist design to a more dedicated role in the mid and short range as a brawler. That's where my concern grows for this modern take on the Grizzly. If you're going to go with the plasma rifle, great, I'm with you there. It's a fun and potent weapon, especially against energy boat mech designs. However, if you're going to make it a brawler, then you gotta go all in and make it a brawler. I would pull that ER large laser and put the large pulse laser back in to take advantage of a -3 on your 2 hit rolls when combined with the targeting computer. If not, Replace the LRM-10 with an SRM-6 or a 4 to make close-range brawling extremely painful for the Grizzly's targets. All things considered, it's an okay rethinking of the design. I like the idea of the reinforced internal structure, but I don't think I would actively seek this out for my force. There are plenty of 70 to 75 ton clan mechs out there that would easily fill that gap in the line. Now, if I were in charge for the day and got to redesign the Grizzly, we could say call it the Grizzly MF. I would take a slightly different route. I'm on the same page with Jotun Battleworks and upgrading to the Clan XL engine, though I'm going to go one step further and increase the engine size so we can hit that 86 km/h standard for Clan heavy mechs. Additionally, I'm upgrading to that ferrofibrous armor. This buys us a little space for an additional double heatsink and some more toys. I went ahead and yanked the Gauss rifle in favor of installing a Hyper Assault Gauss 20 in that right arm. While we are sacrificing 15 points of pinpoint damage for 20 scattered damage, I think it's worth it for a generalist mech like the Grizzly. I've kept the large and medium pulse lasers in the left arm, but doubled up on the small pulse lasers and moved them into the left torso. Everything is then aided by the addition of a targeting computer. The final result is a brutally accurate mech at all ranges, but particularly between the 2 and 6 hex distance. The 3 tons of HAG ammo provides 2 more shots than the original Gauss rifle's 2 tons of ammunition, but choices were made, and I'm sticking by them. The Grizzly MF is a speedier interpretation of an old design, and who doesn't love a giant Gauss rifle shotgun? Anyone? Come on, show your hands. I promise to mock you only a little bit. No? Alright, good. It keeps the spirit of the original while offering some additional spice. It is slightly oversynced with the additional double heatsink I added, but being very heat savvy is part of the Grizzly's mystique, so I wanted to maintain it. Plus, you never know when you might have to fight on a lava-filled battlefield. Just make sure you take the high ground. Do you have any Grizzly battlefield tales? It's always been a favorite of mine and one of the mechs that I'm most looking forward to in the new Kickstarter boxes. I might have a couple of 3D printed versions wandering around here somewhere, perhaps even starring in this very video. What do you think about the Grizzly 2 and 3? Are they worthy updates, or are you an originalist? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for coming by today to talk BattleTech. I appreciate it and feel lucky to be able to do these videos. You are all the bee's knees. Till we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.